They ripped his bones out one by one while laughing at his weakness. With his skull split in half, he was completely destroyed, reincarnated as a weak level 5 skeleton, trapped in a loop of pain. But when they stepped on his only friend, something awakened. The most insignificant monster unlocked the power to steal skills, evolving from that weak skeleton into the SSS rank supreme boss. Today, the terror of this legend is the only talk in the kingdom's taverns. But before we get started, drop a like to support the channel. In a crowded tavern, adventurers chat about the famous unbeatable SSS rank dungeon. Almost everyone in the room already knows about this mysterious structure. Powerful fighters failed badly trying their luck there, including a high-level mage and a swordsman. Even a party of 300 professional assassins ended up getting wiped out inside. People say nobody ever made it past the midpoint, and the world's strongest boss rules the depths. Right now, the hero's own party is trying to raid the place without much hope. Reaching the entrance, the warriors realize they cannot even get past the main gate. A magical barrier completely blocks the party's path as soon as they arrive. That is when the system stops them right away, warning that the entry requirement was not met. The message requires a minimum level of 999 to explore the SSS rank dungeon. The adventurers get terrified by the absurd requirement and decide to leave right away. Watching from a distance, a horned monster enjoys seeing another party give up. Several creatures gathered nearby watched a movement inside the forest. The horned beast claims that even if they made it inside, they would never get past their guard. With a determined look, the creature promises that nobody will get anywhere near the boss. Standing with his back turned, the boss thanks his monster crew for their help. The system identifies this fortress as the SSS rank Prometheus Tower of Dawn. Showing his face, the boss explains that this is the place where he protects everyone. A system screen confirms his identity as the reincarnated acting as the boss. Memories of his past life show a young man walking alone through the streets of a modern city. Society functioned under very strict social hierarchies. People in high positions commanded respect from everyone around them. Those at the bottom suffered contempt and struggled just to climb up. Daily survival demanded accepting these imposed rules. Hitaya Imamura refused to accept such a meaningless existence. Tired of that routine, the kid hears a loud crash along the way. An out-of-control truck runs over the student right on the crosswalk. The young man wakes up in pitch-black darkness and tries to figure out where he ended up. He looks at his own hand and gets shocked to see nothing but bones. Panicking, he notices a blue light glowing right on his chest. The terrified kid touches his body and realizes he became a full skeleton. The system shows that he is now a level 5 undead. Confused by this turn of events, he wonders if he got trapped inside some game. He remembers getting hit at the intersection and tries to make sense of this sudden change. Soon the system identifies the area as the F-rank Sylvan Mausoleum. A low whimper echoes nearby and catches the skeleton's attention. Right then, the kid gets a huge scare when he turns his head. A little level 1 wolf pup walks happily toward him. Sitting on the ground, our boy watches the little animal slowly approach. He feels nervous and wonders if the creature came to eat him. Curious, the wolf pup tilts its head without understanding a word he said. Then the little pup starts rolling on the grass to show affection. The little animal leans against the skeleton and gently lies down by his side. Relieved, the kid realizes he is safe for now. Suddenly, a strange noise makes the skeleton look toward the woods on high alert. Leaves fall from the trees surrounding the clearing where the two are staying. Thinking about it, the young man actually feels that this place is not so bad after all. Suddenly, the wolf pup perks up its ears upon hearing a strange movement. The dungeon goes on red alert with the arrival of new challengers. The skeleton gets confused by the system alert, not knowing what it means. Looking at the pup, he notices the tiny creature shaking with fear on the ground. In the forest, a hunter aims his crossbow, celebrating his useful catch. Spooked, the skeleton turns his head as strange voices approach. An arrow flies out and hits the kid's skull before he can even react. From the fatal impact, his bony body crumbles onto the forest floor. Terrified by the sight, the little pup tries to run away from the attack, but our second arrow hits the pup, taking its life next to the pile of bones. Lying on the ground, the skeleton remains still with a cracked skull. The kid's vision turns pitch black for a moment. Heavy boots are heard approaching the spot of the battle. The red-haired hunter celebrates how easy it is to gather materials. Even while down, the skeleton still manages a brief moment of awareness. The hunter's approach brings back the fear of dying all over again. Soft crying sounds bring the kid back to his senses in the clearing. The skeleton opens his eyes and rubs his head, wondering how he is alive. He looks at his fingers and notices his body return to normal with no damage. Cuddling the pup, he realizes his previous death was not just a bad dream. Painful memories flood back into his mind, showing everything that happened after he fell. The image of the pup killed by the arrow resurfaces in his mind before the hunters. Using a sharp knife, the men skinned the helpless little creature. Then they cruelly removed the little animal's small fangs. Those human hunters did the exact same thing to the skeleton's body without mercy. Talking about the value of undead ribs, they tore off the useful parts. The agonizing pain of having his own bones ripped out stays carved in his mind. Trembling in terror, the kid realizes the terrible trauma that experience caused. New system messages indicate that invaders have entered the dungeon. Dread washes over the skeleton when he realizes more humans are in the area. Terrified of getting taken down again, he decides to look for a hiding spot. The scared pup hides under a nearby bush. Pulling the pup close to his chest, the kid tries to keep them both safe. A hunter with a fully tattooed face steps out from the woods. Dragon marks on his shoulder confirm they are the same guys who attacked before. Hiding in the bushes with the pup, the skeleton hears everything the invaders say. Mocking laughs echo as the hunters clown on the F-rank dungeon creatures. Worried, our guy tracks their every step without making a single sound. One of the guys mentions he usually hunts here to farm stamina potion items. That same guy admits he likes venting his anger on monsters before heading back to town. Laughing out loud, his partner promises to keep wiping out these monsters forever. Hugging the pup tightly, our boy realizes just how cruel this new universe is. Thinking about the manga he read, he sees he is nowhere near an overpowered hero. Holding his skull in total despair, the young man curses his luck. The truth is, he came back to life as a weak monster trapped in an F-rank dungeon. Seen as an easy target by humans, he is just there to become a hunt statistic. The presence of these hunters represents the constant danger trying to erase him. The sad part is knowing the dungeon system forces him to revive just to suffer again. Feeling a heavy chest, our guy gets that he is trapped in an endless loop of pain. Sounds coming from the trees above make the skeleton freeze instantly. Keeping the pup safe by his body, he hears someone toss out a sarcastic remark. From high up in the branches, a hunter drops down with his weapon ready. Here violence marks the heavy strike dropping straight onto our poor guy. The little wolf pup panics at the danger coming right at them. Carrying the little animal in his arms, our boy tries to find a safe spot to escape. One of the hunters spots the monster running and gets confused by it. The archer finds it really weird to see a skeleton sprinting through the woods like that. Soon, the man pulls out his weapon, confident that a single shot will take care of it. Multiple magic arrows fly toward the main character as he desperately tries to flee. Worried, our guy wonders if he is going to end up taking the fall like that again. The shots hit the skeleton's back, sending him crashing hard onto the ground. Nearby, the little wolf pup watches everything in complete terror. Another projectile strikes the little animal, taking its life once more. Lying on the grass, both remain still after the enemy's attack. Slowly fading out, the young man lets out a final sigh of pure pain. Looking to the side, he feels terrible seeing his companion lifeless again. Right after that, the skeleton's body breaks down completely on the dirt. Mocking the situation, the hunters mention that this F-rank dungeon is way too easy. The archer steps forward, adjusting his gear to pick up the loot. Firm steps lead the guy right to the pup's body to harvest resources. Drawing his blade, the man gets into position to cut into the creature. Suddenly, an intense blue aura flares up behind him, sending the hunter into a panic. Rising from the dirt with glowing eyes, the skeleton warns that nobody touches his friend. Focused on his targets, our guy gets that the enemies attack just because they are easy prey. Furious, the young man decides to turn this place into an unbeatable dungeon. Right then, the system drops a golden alert announcing that the area boss is appearing. Covered in blue flames, the skeleton's body begins to change in an insane way. Thinking back, the kid remembers when he felt completely useless and lost. Luckily, now he feels a crazy drive to evolve and become overpowered. A bright flash lights up the clearing, leaving both hunters wide-eyed in shock. System alerts confirm the monster evolved as all that energy wraps around the kid. His feet gain sharp claws and turn entirely black. Glowing with soft lights, his arms display the monster's new look. A human face with glowing blue eyes emerges to complete the transformation. Spooked by the sight, the spiky-haired hunter screams as the skeleton transforms. Mocking it all, the archer says trash is still trash even after an upgrade. Armed to the teeth, both charge and wanting to fill the monster with arrows. Cold and calculating, our guy warns that he will not let anyone touch his ally. Vanishing from their sight in a blink, our guy sprints at insane speed. Vaulting right over them, he appears in the air, leaving the invaders totally lost. Delivering a clean blow, he slams the archer onto the ground with massive force. Terrified to see his partner on the ground, the other hunter loses his mind. Desperate, the man tries to strike our guy any way he can with his sword. The iron blade shatters into pieces upon touching the young man's body. Standing behind the enemy, the kid shows he used his tail to snap the sword. Watching from the side, our guy keeps a serious and threatening stance. Shaking in fear, the hunter cannot believe an iron sword got destroyed so easily. Getting up from the dirt, the archer curses at the kid and readies his bow again. Full of rage, he aims at the kid, promising to eliminate him no matter what. Meanwhile, his frightened companion decides to back off to save his own skin. The archer fires several energized arrows straight at our guy's chest. That is when he gets confused, seeing that his attack had no effect at all. The shots shatter into 1,000 pieces as they hit the kid's glowing core. Stunned, the hunter realizes he dealt absolutely zero damage to the enemy. A system window updates the kid's status to near entire dungeon boss. Imposing in his evolved form, our guy commands the invaders to never return. In absolute terror, the archer notices they will get wiped out if they stay. He runs toward the exit gate, yelling at his partner to run away fast. The other hunter gets there first and triggers the command to close the dungeon gate. Noticing the structure shift, the archer panics as the gap narrows down. The heavy stone doors begin to shut while the man tries to reach the exit. Screaming in panic, he begs his companion to wait for him. Reaching out his hand at the last second, he tries to squeeze through the gap. Meanwhile, his selfish partner runs off without even looking back. The passage locks up completely, leaving the archer trapped inside. A quiet atmosphere settles in right outside the dungeon. Regaining his composure, our guy gets back his calm look after the fight. Looking at his fists, the kid feels huge relief for driving the invaders away. Shortly after, his face darkens as he thinks about his injured companion, kneeling close to the lifeless pup. The young man looks at his friend's body. Channeling energy through his hands, our guy hopes hard that the pup can come back. A golden warmth covers the tiny animal's whole body. Completely shocked, the kid watches every detail of the glow on the grass. An intense bright light fills the whole space around the little animal. Spiritual energy erupts, casting a brilliant shine across the area. Safe and sound, the creature jumps up and barks happily at our guy. Pure joy lights up the young man's face as he sees his friend alive again. Letting out a deep sigh, the kid mentally gives thanks that everything worked out. Suddenly, our guy notices a weird weight on his back. Startled, the kid discovers he got a huge tail and a wild body transformation. Running a hand over his face, he finds it odd that only his face kept human skin. Hanging off the new tail, the pup plays as a notification pops up before them. The system message confirms his evolution to the dungeon boss class. Amazed by the situation, our boy still finds it hard to believe he became the official boss. This whole turn of events leaves the kid thinking about the heavy responsibility he just took on. Far from that chaos, rumors start spreading inside the Dragon Conqueror's lair. Reaching the hideout, the hunter Bodo tells the group an extra boss appeared in the F-rank dungeon. Sweating cold, he explains the undead evolved and suggests sending a dragon to handle it. Enjoying wine with girls, Officer Gulden mocks his comrade for losing in such a weak dungeon. The mood grows heavy when a sinister presence emerges from the shadows to question who is truly useless. Terrified by the organization leader's scolding, Bodo stammers, trying to justify his failure. A giant jaw opens behind the guy as the big boss coldly states he dismissed his services. The top boss takes down the incompetent subordinate and turns his attention straight to Gulden. Wanting to avoid trouble, Gulden agrees respectfully and notes he used to roam that F-rank dungeon. Seeing that, the leader demands he go there personally and wipe out every single wolf. For this test mission, he orders him to bring 2 baby twin dragons bought last month. Relaxed on his throne, the chief decrees that any F-rank boss is nothing more than disposable trash. The monstrous creature receives a direct order to march over and clear out the dungeon. Opening the massive cage doors, the leader sets free the beasts that were locked up. Flashing a smirking smile, Gulden reminds the beasts it is time to serve as useful tools. Huddled in the tight space, the 2 dragons glare at the man with a steady gaze. Stepping inside the cage, Gulden loses his patience with the beasts staring back like that. The guy coldly warns that in this world, weaklings exist only to become meat and yield profit. Officer Gulden orders the dragons to prove their worth during the hunt. Back at Sylvan Mausoleum, our guy checks out the area with the wolf pup on his shoulder. The kid notices that the spot looks like a giant ruin covered in massive trees. Affectionately, the young man looks at the little animal beside him. Walking toward the deeper parts of the forest, our guy moves forward out of curiosity. Heading through the woods, he admires the landscape full of lush vegetation. Thoughtfully, the kid figures that other creatures must be living around here. A cute yip surprises our boy as he glances down at the ground. Unable to understand animal talk, he tries to figure out what the pup means. Rustling noises coming from the bushes catch the young man's attention. Startled, our guy steps back as he spots movement on all sides. Several pairs of eyes appear amidst the darkness of the trees. Another little wolf pup pops out, barking happily at the kid. Puzzled, our boy notices another identical puppy standing right there. Dozens of level 1 wolves show up surrounding the location. Shocked, the young man shouts when he sees the huge crowd of animals gathered. Instead of attacking, the puppies start dancing happily around our guy. Intrigued, he spots a distinct glow shining further back in the clearing. Green mushrooms sprout among the plants, emitting a constant glow. Fascinated by the place's beauty, the young man steps closer with the pack. Charmed by the vibe, the kid stops to inspect the glowing mushrooms up close. System windows show up indicating those plants are also counted as level 1. Touching one of the mushrooms, our boy wonders if it really is just an ordinary plant. That is when an important realization hits our guy's mind. Every little animal here shares the exact same base stats as the mushrooms. Thinking it over, he concludes the wool's power is identical to the plants. Surrounded by around 30 pups, the kid realizes no other monsters are near. Realizing the reality of it, he gets bumped seeing this F-rank dungeon has only weaklings. Glancing at the massive entrance gate, the kid checks the minimum required rules. Remembering the guys who died here before, he gets why hunters keep coming back. Standing near the exit, the kid thinks about what will become of these animals. One of the small wolf pups gazes up at the kid, showing complete trust. Caught off guard, our boy feels the little animal rub against his leg. Leaning against the kid without any fear, the puppy displays deep affection. Touched by the scene, our guy takes in the animal's genuine affection. Receiving all this attention, he recalls that humans see these creatures as mere loot. Frowning with determination, our boy promises to protect every single one of those pups. Sitting in the middle of the pack, the kid notices they are too close to the exit. Finding it way too risky, he worries about the beasts being exposed at the entrance. Calling the whole pack back, the young man smiles as he leads them deep into the woods. Holding the pup in his arms, the kid tells the pack to clear out from there, warning that any invader will get banished in an instant. Soon a red warning pops up right in front of our guy. The system reveals that the dungeon has been invaded again by challengers. Unable to believe the timing, the young man panics over the new enemies. That cursed message confirms the presence of intruders. At that moment, the dungeon doors burst wide open, scaring the kid. A harsh voice echoes from the entrance, ordering the twin dragons to charge. Looking up, our guy spots those giant shadows descending. Info on the level 51 twin dragons appears on the screen. Completely in shock, the kid realizes the scale of the problem. Holding a crossbow, level 35 Hunter Golden struts right into the dungeon. Scanning the room, the kid gets that a squad of mercenaries invaded as well. Ordering the two dragons to obliterate the boss, Golden grins maliciously. Terrified, the kid yells at the pups to escape into the deep forest. Trying to block the flying beasts, the young man connects a defensive kick. Feeling the impact, our guy gets startled by the creature's speed. Huddled on the ground, the pups shiver with fear, unable to run away. Under this immense pressure, the kid wonders if he can save everyone alone. Bringing back memories of painful deaths, the young man closes his eyes. The scene of the pup falling lifeless flashes vividly in the kid's mind. Refusing to see the tragedy happen again, the young man renews his resolve. Knowing he is the animal's only hope, the kid decides to fight to the end. Letting out a sharp yip, the little pup catches the pack's attention. Looking back, our guy sees the puppy's brave attitude. Snapping at the air, the pup leads his friends and encourages the pack to run. 30 wolf pups follow their tiny guide and flee into the forest interior. Moving bravely forward, the puppy commands the retreat without looking back. Quick flashbacks show the pure friendship built with the little animal. Ensuring the safety of all his siblings, the pup pushes ahead with resolve. Flashing a relieved smile, the kid mentally thanks the wolves for escaping. Mocking the situation, Hunter Gul'dan claims the hunt is better when prey runs. Steadying his stance, our guy focuses energy in his chest, swearing to block them. Mocking the young man's resistance, the mercenary readies his chains. Ordering the dragons to make themselves useful, the man demands their power. Gathering energy, the black dragon opens its jaws to blast a freezing attack. The twin dragon's special skill activates with a system confirmation. Spotting the ultimate move heading his way, the kid grows intrigued. Blue flames rain down from the sky toward our guy in a violent surge. Dodging out of harm's way, the kid braces for impact. With an agile leap at the last second, he dodges the blasts blowing up the dirt. Left stunned, the kid notices the massive wreckage left by the beast's hit. Surprisingly, the blue fire is not hot at all and freezes the ground solid. Dodging quickly, our guy realizes that attack is far from normal. Right after the second red dragon swoops in fast right behind him. New system info alert a skill activation as the beast powers up intense heat. A stream of scorching fire shoots out, hitting the ground with immense power. Orange flames engulf the area, turning everything into a raging sea of fire. Dripping sweat from the extreme heat, the kid leaps far away from the fire. Watching everything melt into lava, the young man gets shocked by the high heat. Both beasts unleash opposite powers capable of freezing and melting anything. Thinking about ice and fire, our boy tries to make sense of those attacks. Video game memories flash in his mind, showing each beast has unique stats. Piecing it together, he realizes the blue dragon uses freezing flames. On the flip side, the red dragon masters melting everything with hot fire. Turning back to the mercenary, the kid wonders if the hunter has tricks too. Focusing energy in his body, our guy wonders if he can use a skill as well. Specks of light flicker in his eyes as a blue screen pops up in the air. System alerts confirm that skill activation is officially unlocked for him. Glowing brightly, the screen displays that our boy can finally use his powers. Dodging the strikes, the kid quickly glances at the system screen showing his stats. This panel reveals a rebirth power capable of absorbing the skills of defeated invaders. The young man gets shocked by the description, reading that he can steal the powers of those who fail inside. The hunter gets annoyed and approaches, telling the kid not to take his eyes off the fight. Firing his crossbow, Gul'dan unleashes his secret technique against our boy. Energized projectiles disappear into thin air, turning invisible mid-flight. Surprised, our guy notices the arrows vanish before hitting him. Energy beams pop up near the young man as he dodges at the last second. With a dark smirk, Gul'dan activates his weapon's special skill. Analyzing the move, the kid figures out that the shooter used a special strike. Turning invisible for a fraction of a second is the trick the shots do in flight. Our guy leaps between the trees and dodges the dragons and the hunter at the same time. Thinking fast, he concludes he needs to stop the shooter to win this fight. The young man dodges the streams of ice and fire unleashed by the flying beasts. Gul'dan laughs mockingly and fires non-stop to see how far the kid can run. Running at top speed, our guy dodges the rain of invisible shots. Suddenly, a roar of pain makes the young man look back in surprise. A stray shot from the hunter accidentally hits the red dragon's back. Cold and cruel, Gul'dan curses the wounded beast and threatens to turn it into a trophy if it does not get up. Both beasts tremble in fear on the ground, facing their owners' heavy threats. The outraged kid asks how the man can treat his own allies with such cruelty. Gul'dan dismissively replies that monsters are never real allies. Disposable tools are only good for being sold or thrown away, the mercenary claims. Laughing out loud, the hunter says a tool's only duty is serving its human master. In silence, our guy reflects on the cruel view humans hold toward monsters. Recalling his previous deaths, he remembers how he was discarded and torn apart on the ground. Sweet memories of moments with the wolf pups bring a different feeling to his heart. Both dragons huddle on the ground, showing absolute terror toward the hunter. Overcome with anger, our guy rushes straight toward Gul'dan. Startled, the hunter sees the kid instantly reappear right in front of him. Pure energy gathers in the young man's fist as he readies the strike. Leaping into the air, our guy aims directly at the cruel mercenary's weapon. With fury, the kid yells at him to never treat monsters as mere tools again. The devastating punch breaks the crossbow and destroys the control chain at the same time. Gul'dan falls to the dirt, panicking upon seeing his weapon and collar destroyed. Wrapped in his imposing aura, our guy asks what the hunter's next move will be. The terrified man breaks into a cold sweat, unable to react to that power. Desperate, he turns to the dragons, ordering the monsters to protect him. Screaming, the hunter demands the beasts fulfill their duty to defend their master. The red chains around the dragon's neck shatter completely and fall to the ground. Outraged by the situation, the mercenary yells that these useless beasts deserve to die. Regaining control, both dragons rise into the air and glare down at the hunter. Gathering freezing energy, the blue flame beast opens its mouth to counterattack. Sensing impending danger, Gul'dan panics and begs for mercy. A colossal ice beam shoots directly at the mercenary, instantly turned into a block of ice. The hunter gets frozen in the clearing. Watching its revenge unfold, the flying beast maintains a cold posture. The ice pillar permanently seals the invader's end. The system logs that the level 35 hunter's challenge failed in the dungeon. A notification alerts that skill activation is unlocked for our guy. Keeping an eye on the news, the kid checks the alert glowing in the air. Realizing the invader's defeat met the requirements, he gets what happened. Channeling energy in his chest, our guy activates the skill absorption ability. The system scan captures data for the hidden shot technique used by the shooter. Surrounded by blue lightning, the young man absorbs the hidden shot power. Excited with the result, he confirms he secured the defeated hunter's skill. Cautious, both dragons stare at the kid, waiting for his next move. Emitting low grunts, the beasts show fear and mistrust. Noticing the animal's tension, our boy decides to stay calm. Reaching out his hands, the young man asks them to calm down. Apologizing calmly, the kid tries to soothe the beasts after all that fighting. Showing his empty hands, he makes it clear he does not want trouble with anyone. Thinking for a moment, the kid realizes that to those dragons he is just a weird creature. Right as there's a golden system screen pops up right in our boy's face. Checking out the update, our guy notices that dungeon boss interface is brand new to him. The message gives details on the exclusive Monster Edition skill for Sylvan Mausoleum. Discovering all this, our boy gets that he unlocked a second passive as Area Boss. The panel makes the function responsible for recruiting new creatures crystal clear. Glancing over the text, he understands he can officially register new monsters in his dungeon. The system asks directly if the young man wants to put both dragons on his team. Finding it awesome, our guy realizes he can turn those beasts into official partners. Smiling at his good luck, he takes time to enjoy the true power of boss skills. Weighing the perks, the kid concludes the dragons would make great forest guardians. Having fire and ice beasts around would make the dungeon way safer. On the other hand, he remembers that hunters will keep visiting the place. Giving the beasts space, he tells them their tyrant master is gone and they are free now. Facing the beasts, our guy wants to know what their next step will be. A quick flashback brings up the guild leader's cruel way of treating dragons like objects. Reliving that memory, both dragons recall all the suffering they endured from humans. Looking closely at the kid, they see that the blue-eyed young man is totally different. Talking it over, both dragons realize they like the kid's firm stance. Moving forward calmly, both beasts step closer to our guy. Finding it crazy, the young man wants to know if they really agree to be his partners. Nodding their heads, both dragons give their consent to live in the dungeon. Flashing a giant smile, the kid thanks the duo for backing him up. Channeling energy in his chest, our guy activates Monster Edition in the system. A golden light covers the dragons, securing their official level 51 registration. The system panel alerts that the number of invaders in the dungeon drops to 0. Right after, a wave of healing energy washes over the flying beasts. With the count at 0, all dungeon monsters regain their full strength. Hurried footsteps in the woods catch the young man's attention. Tiny creatures run out from between the bushes. The little wolf pup leads the line, bringing 30 puppies back to the clearing. Throwing his arms up, our guide checks if the whole crew is unharmed. Barking non-stop, the entire pack rushes toward their protector. Sitting on the grass, the kid showers affection on the animals crowding around him. Staring at the young man, the little pup shows immense gratitude for saving the pack. Nudging our guy's hand with its head, the pup rubs up against him. Laughing, the kid enjoys the loyalty and affection of his little friend. Wrapping up the moment, the pup seals peace for that huge family in the dungeon. The wolf pups keep hopping around our guy happily. Affectionately, the kid pams the animals, feeling the warmth of having saved them all. Old memories resurface as he recalls back when he could not protect anyone. Sitting on the grass, the young man sighs in relief for saving the whole pack. Determination fills his chest as he feels he took the first step to get stronger. Looking closely at the kid, one dragon notes he looks human but is an unusual entity. Direct questions arise about our boy's true race. Startled, our guy yells out in shock when he hears the beast actually speak. From high up in the trees, the young man notices the vast green of Sylvan Mausoleum. Listening to the flying beasts talk, the kid gets who usually raids this dungeon. The dragon drops the truth, stating invaders belong to the Dragon Conquerors Guild. Mercenaries enslave strong monsters as weapons and grind weak ones for loot. Worry hits hard as the young man wonders if those hunters will return to attack. Immediate confirmation comes from the beast, warning the guild leader will show up sooner or later. Serious warnings reveal the bandit leader rules his minions through pure terror. Thoughtful, our guy tries to gather more details about the upcoming trouble. Seeing the mess in the dragon's memories, our boy gets it stems from harsh captivity. Showing respect, he thanks his new allies for their patience. Raising a finger, our boy pitches a clear plan to protect everyone's safety. Direct orders tell the beast to hide in the back while he guards the entrance. Showing a map to the dragons, the young man explains the dungeon has only one gate. Listening carefully to the strategy, the monsters stay completely silent. Nudging against his legs, the little pup lets out a gentle yip. Petting the pup, the kid assures everything will work out and tells them not to worry. Sitting on the high branch, the young man admits to himself that he fears the future. Recalling the holographic panel, he remembers his skill copies defeated invaders' powers. Confident, he concludes he will grow stronger as he defeats new enemies. Multiple techniques must be gathered to take down the dragon conquerors. Clenching his fist, the kid vows to protect the place and build peaceful days. A loud invasion sound puts all the animals on high alert suddenly. Flashing red, the system alerts the arrival of new challengers. From high in the tree, our guy watches a strange movement near the entrance. The heavy doors of Sylvan Mausoleum burst open, revealing incoming invaders. Heavy bootsteps march into the dungeon with force. Armed to the teeth, a troop of Dragon Conquerors Guild hunters raids the area. Laughing out loud, the mercenaries say the boss will execute Golden for fleeing with the dragons. Hidden in the foliage, the kid gets shocked by the massive number of enemies. Sweating with apprehension, our guy admits he never faced so many people at once. With mocking humor, the bandits make a bet to see who can take out the most monsters. Furious at at the invader's cynicism, the kid's glare takes on a menacing glow. Full of rage, the kid warns that nobody will mess around with the animals' lives. High up on the branch, our boy releases a heavy aura and gears up for battle. Using his brain will be his move to face this entire squad. Right then, the system alerts that the hidden shot skill is now active. Thinking they have safety in numbers, the hunters enter the clearing laughing away. Looking down from above, our guy decides to break their weapons first. A system window confirms that hidden shot is running properly. Focusing the technique, he shoots projectiles straight from the tree branch. A precise shot strikes a mercenary's dagger, turning the blade to dust. Another secret shot snaps another hunter's sword, leaving them totally lost. Clueless, the bandits yell out, trying to figure out where that came from. A curly-haired hunter mocks his friends, thinking it is just paranoia. Focused on the scene, the kid analyzes how these people's powers work. Memories show that these human techniques rely entirely on the iron they carry. Smirking, our guy finds the perfect weakness to turn the tables. Trying to go all out, a mercenary attempts to cast a skill with a spear. In a flash, our boy hits the spearhead, shattering it before magic goes off. Breaking the enemy's gear, our boy realizes it cuts off all their power. Another accurate shot shatters an iron trident in another bandit's hand. Rapid shots clean up the remaining swords, leaving the mercenaries terrified. In pure desperation, the guys scream without knowing where attacks come from. Using the Vision plus 10 skill, a hunter spots where our guy hides in the tree. From above, the kid notices the guys were using support and search magic. Unleashing a slashing gust of wind, the hunter hits the tree where the kid is. The wind blade slices through branches as our guy takes an awesome leap. Mid-air, the kid realizes he just needs to dodge special moves and break gear. Landing right in the center, our guy gets surrounded as bandits charge together. Several mercenaries strike at once, but the kid's tail blocks every attack. With a cold expression, our guy goes on a relentless counterattack. The kid's sharp tail whips with full force right through the clearing. In a single spin, he shatters all the enemy swords and axes around him. Looking at the broken handles, the hunters go into shock at what they see. Surrounded by a heavy aura, our guy acts as a threat nobody can take on. Shaking in their boots, the mercenaries realize that monster is no easy prey. Terrified, one bandit turns around and sprints as fast as he can for the exit. The whole crew panics and flees frantically through the dungeon gate. System alerts pop up on the screen, confirming a bunch of hunters retreated. Watching them flee, the kid realizes they gave up on raiding the place for good. A glowing system panel appears, announcing that the boss skill just activated. Stunned, our guy stares at the screen without fully getting what is going on. The system alerts that Windblade and Vision plus 10 were added successfully. Looking at notifications, the kid realizes he stole skills from those who fled. That way he finally understands the hidden rule behind how this dungeon works. Running away through the gate counts as an official defeat in the challenge. Happy with the loot, our guy celebrates absorbing their skill arsenal. With only one bandit left on the scene, the guy decides to face the situation. Losing his mind, the hunter points his spear, laughing and calling the place easy. From high up in the trees, our boy watches this pathetic scene unfold. Focusing heat at his spear tip, the foolish guy plans to burn down all plants. Casting a giant fireball, the attacker tries to wipe out the wolf puppies. Trying to hide in the woods, the little pup trembles as flames head his way. Fired up, our boy decides he will not let anything touch the animals. Using his newly acquired Windblade skill, the young man shoots a clean slash. A sharp slice rips through the air, cutting the fireball in half in a blink. Charging through, the hit strikes the hunter, breaking his spear and slamming him down. Flattened on the dirt, the bandit roars in pain while his comrades watch outside. Stunned, the mercenaries outside realize the monster copied their technique. Stepping through the smoke, our guy appears imposing before the survivors. With a grim look, he warns that this territory now has a brand new owner. Terrified out of their minds, the hunters scream in fear before the new boss. Terrified by the situation, the defeated hunters run desperately away from the gate. From the threshold, our guy watches the invaders flee and panic through the woods. With a heavy thud, the dungeon's massive doors close completely. Standing alone in the entrance hall, the kid takes a deep breath after victory. Thoughtful, the young man shows a calm look and reflects on all that happened. Early memories show when he revived as a weak skeleton, unable to fight back. Past memories prove he could not even beat a single regular hunter back then. Today, however, he celebrates protecting the dungeon against a whole squad. Clenching his fist happily, our boy celebrates his evolution and newfound strength. Surrounded by the pack and dragons, our guy enjoys a quiet moment with allies. Notifications confirm that the number of active invaders reached 0. Far away, in the hideout, noble Pedro de Tras talks to leader Albara about failure. With a dark smile, Albara replies that he keeps no failed subordinates under him. Cold words make it clear that useless mercenaries are just disposable meat. Drinking wine, the noble mocks that the defeated became food for the great dragon. Hurried footsteps echo in the hideout hallway, drawing everyone's attention. Survivors who fled Sylvan Mausoleum enter screaming the F-rank dungeon is unbeatable. Turning his head with a menacing gaze, the leader listens to the escapees' report. Sitting on his throne, the chief observes his frightened subordinates. Sweating cold, the men guarantee it is totally impossible to clear that place. One henchman blurted out that the creature did not just copy everyone's powers. The guy shakes with fear, saying the dungeon boss can cast skills simultaneously. Thus, the mercenary swears the thing is a walking nightmare way beyond normal. Albro rudely cuts him off, asking if the group came back just to whine. Glaring with pure hatred on his face, the leader calls his subordinates useless. At that moment, the shadow of a giant beast appears behind Albara, terrifying them. Without a second thought, the chief orders the great dragon to eat the cowards. Seeing their end arrive, the small crew screams in terror with nowhere to run. Enjoying the moment, noble Pedro finds the carnage to be quite a show. Taking on a mocking tone, the noble comments that this whole mess is interesting. Thinking it over, he recalls an F-rank dungeon should not even have a real boss. The noble wonders if Albara really believes such a strong beast appeared from nowhere. The man points out that Shooter Gulden and the twin dragons vanished without trace. Finishing his thought, Pedro notes that no one came back alive from that F-rank dungeon. Thinking of the cash he will make, the noble flashes a greedy grin. After all, rare beasts yield valuable drops that cost a fortune on the market. Passing the torch, Pedro tells Albara to see if this mystery boss actually exists. Liking the profit potential, the Dragon Conqueror's leader agrees to the deal. Right after, the warrior demands double the usual pay to handle this personally. Stepping outside, the sun shines brightly over the forest surrounding Sylvan Mausoleum. Sitting on a high branch, our guy watches the little pup bark excitedly on the dirt. Joyful, the puppy runs in circles trying to grab his protector's attention. Curious, the kid wonders what is going on with the little animal. Leaping from the tree, the young man steps up to understand the pup's excitement. The puppy runs into the foliage, calling our guy to follow him. Walking through the trees, the kid wonders if something happened in the depths. He moves through the woods, guided by his little ally's barks. Steeping past giant roots, the young man notices they arrived at a far area. Reaching a cave full of glowing mushrooms, our guy gets impressed. Amazed, the kid recognizes the spot as the same clearing where he found mushrooms. Barking happily, the puppy points his little paw toward the back of the cave. Looking carefully, our guy notices a golden light shining brightly. An imposing golden stone gate stands embedded in the middle of the rock wall. Fascinated, the kid observes the massive structure glowing in the room. Shocked, he wonders where that mysterious door came from. Confirming with the bark, the pup assures that structure was not there before. Curious, our guy slowly reaches out his hand to touch the golden gate. The moment his fingers touch the stone, an energy pulse gets released. A golden flash lights up the entire underground cave. The dungeon boss identity authentication is confirmed by the system. The system alerts the start of the dungeon rank up system activation. Completely lost, the kid gets shocked by the message appearing before him. Heavy tremors shake the ground as a golden light takes over everything. The dust settles in the cave, and the huge door remains completely shut. Holding the pup in his arms, our guy notices the ground stops shaking. Multiple alerts pop up in front of that large golden door. The message warns he does not have the required level to raise dungeon rank. Thinking it over, the young man gets he needs to fulfill rules to unlock it. The panel alerts that the gate to the unexplored sector stays locked for now. It becomes clear the only way forward is raising the dungeon category. Piecing it together, our boy concludes he must find a way to evolve the place. Flying high, both twin dragons arrive quickly to check on our guy. Flashing a smile, the young man greets the beasts as soon as they land. Wanting to understand better, the kid asks if a dungeon rank can really increase. The question is whether this kind of change is normal in this universe. Surprised by the question, one dragon replies he never heard of such a thing. The creatures plainly admit they have no idea what happens at a time like this. Glancing at the golden passage, the kid sees he will find much if he opens it. Full of doubts, our boy suspects his dungeon is very different from others. The system interface itself calls that locked area the unexplored sector. Stunned, our boy gazes at the entrance of a place no human stepped before. Petting the pup, our guy thanks the little animal for finding this hideout. On the panel, the message clarifies this region is the Sylvan Mausoleum depths. Being a completely locked area, the passage forbids anyone from entering. Another system alert shows that the seal of the first arc broke slightly. Returning to high tree branches, our boy chats peacefully with the dragons. Scratching his head awkwardly, the young man asks the beasts for their names. Remaining in total silence, both dragons stare at our guy suspiciously. Waving his arms, the kid says it is fine fine if they do not want to spill the beans. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake violently, leaving our guy frozen in shock. Turning toward the entrance, the dragons alert that the gate is opening up. Seeing that, our boy realizes a fresh squad of invaders just arrived. The red light flashing on the screen confirms unwanted guests in the dungeon. Heavy and loud footsteps march straight inside Sylvan Mausoleum. Massive claws of a flying beast slam hard against the entrance floor. Atop a giant dragon, leader Albara orders his soldiers to break and loot all. Flashing an evil smirk, the chief promises massive profit selling items from here. Analyzing the enemy, the system reveals he is Great Swordsman Albara, level 66. Terrified, the twin dragons immediately get that the bandit leader is dangerous. Hidden high in the tree, our guy turns grim, staring at the dragon conqueror's head. Analyzing his opponent, the kid gets that Albara is on a completely higher level than the rest. Hunters laugh mockingly right behind their chief. Painful moments from the past return to the young man's mind as he recalls his previous deaths. Stopping this monster right now is the only way to end that cycle of suffering. The young man's entire body begins to glow with a powerful blue energy. Clenching his fists, our boy gathers the courage needed for battle. Accumulated resources come into play to guarantee our guy's victory. Aiming his arms, a surprise strike flies rapidly toward the commander. System notifications validate the immediate use of the hidden shot technique. Air slashes form as the projectile fires straight toward Albara's chest. Simple blocks with the colossal sword completely stop the attack's advance. Totally amazed, the kid can hardly believe his rival blocked a secret attack like that. Amid mocking laughter, Albara hides part of his face behind the massive weapon. Harsh taunts fly out as the villain questions why he is hiding. The tree hiding spot becomes useless the moment the kid realizes he was spotted. Atop the great dragon, the chief asks if he is the famous F-rank minion. The opponent's imposing stance dominates as he watches the dragon duel in the tree. Recognizing his old flying mounts, the leader directs his gaze toward the branches. Trembling with fear, the beasts react as soon as they hear him ask about the lost callers. Resting his sword on his shoulder, the opponent declares that such details lost relevance. Cold and direct, Albara says disobedient tools are completely useless. Terrified, both twin dragons step back, scared to death of their former master. Stepping right in front of the beasts, the kid fires back that those dragons have no master, letting out an ironic laugh. Albara mocks seeing a monster try to defend tools. Keeping a steady gaze, our guy takes on a very serious battle stance. Ordering the advance, Albara commands the entire squad to charge at the enemies. Holding swords and spears, the hunter group rushes in bloodthirsty. Hidden on the branch, the twin dragons watch the mercenaries' violent charge. Gathering energy in his chest, the young man readies a heavy counterattack. The system alerts that the ice ring technique copied from dragons activated successfully. Right after, the panel also confirms the use of the fire flame skill. A double beam combining ice and fire rains down from above, hitting the enemy troop. Impressed by his own feat, the kid sees the destruction caused by fusing dragon powers. Caught off guard by extreme heat and cold, the hunters stumble back on the ground, taking advantage of the chaos. Our guy thanks the dragons and decides to finish off the army. The system alerts that the windblade skill came into action. Mixing this wind slash with the curvature technique, he tries to create a unique attack. The interface confirms the creation of the new combined skill called curved blade. Launching green gusts into the sky, our guy makes the slashes change direction completely. The curved blades catch the hunters off guard, hitting their gear from unexpected angles. In an instant, the soldiers' weapons turn to dust mid-air. Disgusted by his henchman's failure, Albara decides to take out the twin dragons first. Frowning hard, the chief commands his main beast to swallow the flying creature's whole. Slicing through the air, the monster charges at the twin dragons with full force. A flash gleams on the control collar tied around the giant beast's neck. Trembling with dread, one twin dragon realizes right away that collar means tyranny, showing the control ring. Albara guarantees his power over monsters is absolute. Smirking cynically, the villain warns he will issue an even worse order if anyone dares disobey. There remains the promise that one monster will destroy the other if rebellion continues. A past of pain and suffering under the collar's grip returns fully to the twin dragons' minds. Frozen in fear, the smaller dragon remains paralyzed before the charge. His companion screams in desperation, warning about the strike and telling him to flee. Feeling the monster's jaw close in, the beast realizes escape is impossible. Snapping down with total power, the great dragon's mouth crashes onto the clearing. Closing its eyes, the creature accepts the end of the line. Hitting super speed, our guy arrives instantly to pull his ally away from the fangs. Surprised by the miracle, the small dragon sees he narrowly escaped death. Holding the beast in his arms, the kid takes a precise leap up to the treetop. Furious about the rescue, Albara sets the entire squad to hunt our guy down without mercy. Hugging the dragons, the kid feels their bodies shaking with pure fear. Understandingly, our boy gets that it is normal to fear someone who caused so much past trauma. Apologizing for their suffering, the young man hugs his friends with affection. Encouraging them, he advises both dragons to flee immediately into the deep forest. Completely shocked, the beast asks if our guy plans to face Albara and his troop alone. Down below, hunters shout while pointing at the tree, demanding to bring down the boss. Calmly, our boy smiles and reassures the dragons that everything will be fine, promising he will wait for them right there until they both find true freedom. Moved, the twin dragons look at our guy with deep respect and admiration. Weeping from the high branch, the young man launches into the air toward the enemies. Brandishing spears and daggers, the mercenaries rush to surround the kid. Determined, our guy vows he will not let anyone else get hurt and will end it alone. Activating Vision +10 and enemy search, he detects 10 remaining bandits. Moving like lightning, the young man uses Windblade to slice the mercenaries' weapons. Right after he applies Hidden Shot, striking opponents with incredible precision. Using fast spins, our boy lands kicks and tail sweeps, knocking out the hunters. With fresh wind slashes, he destroys the squad's last axes and spears. Lying on the ground, the mercenaries groan in pain, admitting his absurd strength. Standing tall over the defeated, our guy calmly analyzes the battlefield. Looking around, he notices that only the leader Obara remains in battle. From atop the great dragon, the villain curses his fallen minions as useless. Using the Devour Multiplier skill, Albara orders his dragon into action. Opening its jaws, the flying beast swallows the fallen hunters off the ground. Seeing this gruesome scene, our guy gets utterly shocked by the creature's skill. Chewing up its own allies, the monster shows not a single shred of remorse. Dark energy flares all around as the mercenaries get consumed. People scream in terror in the clearing as they turn into food. Covering his mouth in shock, the kid cannot believe the villain ate his own team. Glowing bright after absorbing those people, the great dragon's eyes turn terrifying. Growing with absorbed power, the beast's frame begins to expand. Explaining it, Albara says his great dragon gets stronger with every victim it eats. Covering its body, giant iron scales appears. The monster expands even further. Turning into a titanic dragon, the creature readies itself to destroy the dungeon. Displaying max level, the holographic panel confirms the Devour Multiplier active, letting out a world-shaking roar. The great dragon causes the earth to tremble violently, forming a fireball right in its throat. The beast prepares to unleash destruction. Spotting the danger, the kid sees that blast will blow up the forest and dungeon. Taking a combat stance, the young man decides he must find a way to stop this hit. Analyzing the colossal beast, he wonders how he can beat a creature of this size. Spotting a hidden detail on the dragon's neck, our boy's attention gets drawn. Remembering the twin dragons, our guy gets that breaking the control collar fixes it. Flying toward the great dragon, our boy goes all out after the control collar. The system alerts that the Windblade skill was activated. A green slash rips through the air straight toward Albara's mount neck. That is when the bandit leader jumps in front to block the attack. Albara's giant sword clashes with the wind and saves the collar from destruction. Spooked, our guy gets shocked to see his plan go down the drain. Laughing in his face, the villain calls the F-rank boss clever. Gathering power on his blade, Albara warns that nobody touches the collar. Dripping sweat, the kid feels the guy's aura pressure weighing down on him. The great dragon's mouth glows, storing a massive charge of fire. Falling back mid-air, our boy tries to find a way to cut through that danger. Calculating the damage, he realizes the whole forest will blow up if it fires. Focused on the red collar, our guy realizes just how important that item is. Seeing Albara's desperation, it is clear the collar is the only way to control it. Charging in once more, the kid vows he will shatter that artifact. The panel alerts that the curved blade technique is ready. Mocking the situation, Albara readies his strongest attack. Delivering a clean strike, the leader releases Earth Fissure Impact Ruin. The screen confirms the swordsman's destructive magic was cast with full force. A massive explosion shakes the ground and blasts our guy back with force. Laughing out loud, Albara watches the great dragon's fireball complete. Sweating cold, the kid gets that the huge blast of fire is about to shoot. The monster's throat glows bright, ready to incinerate the whole area. With no time to hesitate, our guy rushes forward at full speed. Under pressure, he tries combining Hidden Shot to reach the collar. Steadying his mind, the young man renews his vow to protect all in the dungeon. The titanic beast unleashes the scorching beam of fire toward the forest. Suddenly, right as Albara's sword gets intercepted mid-air by a surprise strike, Surprised, our guy looks at the sky as new roars echo. Coming from above, the twin dragons arrive to help in the decisive battle. Blasting fire and ice beams, they tell our guy to break the collar while holding enemies. Both flying beasts attack Albara and the great dragon, creating a perfect opening. Furious at the betrayal, Albara curses the twin dragons as weak trash. Dodging the beams, the villain tries to contain the beast's assault. In pure rage, he charges with his sword, trying to slash both flying creatures. With glowing blue eyes, our guy seizes the unique chance created by his friends. Focusing all his power, he vows to end that dungeon's suffering that day. Moving like lightning, the kid leaps toward the great dragon's neck. A precise wind slash strikes the monster's control collar directly. The red collar shatters into 1,000 pieces, sending Albara tumbling off. Freed from control, the great dragon lets out a roar of liberation in the clearing. Rolling on the dirt, the bandit leader loses his balance and falls hard. The control ring in Albara's hand cracks and shatters at that exact second. Stunned, the villain cannot believe a monster managed to destroy the command item. The collar of tyranny was considered an absolute human enslavement device. Historically, it was deemed impossible for any monster to break that ring. Albara panics upon noticing our guy struck the item's exact weak point. Sweating in horror, the villain wonders who that dungeon boss really is. Trying to get up, Albara draws his sword, promising to destroy everyone. Driven mad, he vows to crush the kid and the whole dungeon into dust. Charging with fury, the bandit chief tries to deliver a final, deadly strike. Suddenly, the massive blade of his sword cracks and shatters completely. Dropping from the sky, our guy appears above him, delivering a crushing blow. Remembering his friends, the kid confirms his wish to protect everyone's life. Determined, he declares the absolute end of that battle against the invader. The crushing strike hits Albara directly, shattering his armor and taking him down. A massive explosion of blue energy ends the battle in the forest. Silence and calm return to the lush greenery of Sylvan Mausoleum. Stepping out of the bush, the little pup scans the area to see if it is safe. Panting, our guy kneels on the grass beside the twin dragons after the effort. Broken on the ground, Albara tries to crawl while cursing our guy in pure rage. Clenching his fists on the dirt, the villain refuses to accept defeat by a monster. A gigantic silhouette steps right behind Albara, casting a huge shadow in the clearing. The great dragon glares at his former master with a cold, terrifying expression. That giant beast recalls all the lives exploited and tortured by the chief's greed. Owning his mistakes, the monster admits he became complicit in all that slavery. To settle past accounts, the great dragon opens its jaws and swallows Albara whole. Screaming in pure dread, the criminal ends up as food for his own mount. The red glow in the beast's eyes fades out, ending that villain's storyline. Completely shocked, the kid watches this entire twist in utter disbelief. The twin dragons watch that tyrant's downfall with looks of pure amazement. The invader count inside the dungeon drops to 0 according to system updates. Scanning the clearing, our guy tries to see if the chaos finally came to an end. Notifications pop up indicating new creatures can be added to the party. The interface asks if the kid wants to recruit the level 71 great dragon to his team. Staying calm, our boy faces the colossal beast with respect. Explaining that dungeon addition is possible, he asks what the beast truly wants. Replying calmly, the great dragon reveals he just wants to go his own way and leave. A gentle smile appears on our guy's face, respecting the creature's choice. The twin dragons step closer, asking if the boss prefers keeping such power around. Gently, our boy explains he does not want to force service through power like bandits did. Turns out the great dragon has his own objective outside the dungeon. The colossal beast reveals he will dedicate his life to freeing dragons held by bandits. Flashbacks of enslavement cages in the hideout pass through the monster's mind. Memories show how he was forced to devour lives to satisfy humans. Spreading giant wings, the beast declares he will repay his debts by saving his kind. Taking flight, the great dragon rises toward the treetops. Looking back, the monster bids farewell to the twin dragons and our guy with respect. Thanking them deeply for liberation, he flies toward the sunlight. Vanishing on the horizon, the great dragon leaves the dungeon in total peace. Watching the sky, the twin dragons remark with relief that the beast is really gone. Happy, our guy displays a warm smile watching his friend depart. Affectionately, he asks the twin dragons if they also wish to return outside. Looking around, the beasts note that although the dungeon is weird, they like it there. Chilly, both dragons recall that the kid asked for their names in the past. The beasts finally reveal their identities, saying their names are Ata and Yata. Radiant, our guy smiles and thanks Ata and Yata from his heart for trusting him. Suddenly, golden panels flash, announcing the rank-up system initialization. Gleaming light covers the whole dungeon as the system tallies defeated challengers. A glowing holographic message confirms that conditions for rank up were met. Amazed, the kid watches the system panel shine in gold. Drastic changes occur as the Sylvan Mausoleum dungeon is about to rank up. A new category gets processed by the structure in a few seconds. Beams of light cover the entire forest map before our guy. Rank increase completion to E rank gets successfully confirmed. Looking around, our guy and the dragons follow all the changes. The rock structure shakes as the dungeon terrain alters completely. Boulders appear on the ground, suggesting surface walls collapsed. Thoughtful, the young man tries to grasp the true meaning of dungeon evolution. A sharp howl echoes from the cavern top, drawing the group's attention. Running excitedly, the little pup pops up, barking happily at the kid. Quick gestures accompany the barks as if the little animal wants to explain something urgent. Smiling awkwardly, our guy admits he cannot speak pup language but sees his effort. Guiding the group, the puppy runs toward the back of the cave, calling everyone. Following the pup, the kid concludes his friend's warning is important. Moving toward the deepest part of the woods becomes the current priority. Soft sounds continue echoing among the underground trees. Arriving at the spot, the kid notices strange movement on the cave floor. Glowing mushrooms start moving on their own, leaving our boy shocked. Tiny plants hop and jump across the dirt like living creatures. Holographic windows confirm all mushrooms are level 1 monsters. Focused on the situation, our guy discovers the local plants were living beings all along. Taking in the scene, the young man notices something surprising back in the cave. The imposing golden gate that was sealed begins to shine brightly. System notifications announce the official opening of the unexplored sector Shadow Gate. Overjoyed, the kid celebrates unlocking the dungeon's new secret area. Hugging the pup, he realizes this was the surprise the little animal wanted to show. A large stone staircase appears open behind the gleaming gate. Tiny mushrooms march happily up the steps of the structure. Following the plants, our guy gets that they want to explore the new path. Confident, he knows the dungeon's native monsters are his great allies. Walking down the steps, the kid hopes to find answers about the place's origin. The long stone staircase leads the pack into the dark underground depths. Reaching the end of the path, the young man notices a pile of dirt blocking the way. Curious, he spots something shiny buried amidst the rubble. Multiple mushrooms leap toward the pile and start digging the dirt. Using their heads as shovels, the small plants remove dirt fast. In minutes, the mushroom pack unearths a highly ornate golden chest. Grateful, the kid smiles at the little plants for their digging help. The system reveals the object is the 6th arc offered as a reward for dungeon evolution. Shocked by the shine on the dirt, our guy stares at the treasure chest. It is clear that relic is the official prize for ranking up. Glancing at the box, the young man sees this reality works just like a game. Beside him, Ata and Yada look at the object with curiosity. Comments arise from the beasts about finding more similar rewards later. There is a fear that these riches might attract more invaders to loot the dungeon. Weighing the situation, our boy assesses the danger of keeping valuable items there. The question remains if the new rank will draw stronger opponents' attention. Breaking the silence, the dragon asks if our guy wants to open the box right away. Soon comes a warning that the inside might hold a dangerous trap for everyone. Carrying the pup on his head, our boy decides to inspect the relic up close. Asking for a bit of space, the young man slowly gets close to the chest. Touching the golden lock, anxiety fills his heart. Soon the lid lifts and spreads brightness across the whole cave. System data reveals the gear obtained is named Prometheus's right hand. Picking up the star-shaped accessory, the kid gets that it is a magic ring. Detailed info pops up, confirming the stats of this legendary item. Putting the accessory on his finger, immense power surges through our guy's body. Feeling insane energy fill his chest, the young man gets completely surprised. Staring intently, Yada wants to know what perks the magic object just granted. Glancing at his hand, the kid gets that the power is amazing for combat. Thoughtful, he decides to save the move to avoid dragging everyone into fights inside. Awkwardly, our guy apologizes to everyone for not showing the effect right now. Analyzing the situation, the young man concludes this dungeon holds many secrets. Memories about the dungeon's unique ability to rank up cross his mind. Thoughts of his own power as an F-rank boss capable of taking on troops resurface. Thinking of that unique power to destroy enslavement collars deemed unbreakable. Focused, the kid wonders about his true role and who he really is in that world. Determined to protect his friends without using treasure, he devises a great plan. Excited, our beloved guy asks the pack and dragons to help by lending their strength. Clueless, the mushrooms and wolf pups wait for the boss to explain the plan. The idea is to use the mushroom's digging skill to alter the place's layout. Excited, the young man suggests building a secret hideout right inside the dungeon. Working as a team, everyone starts digging deep under the giant roots. Ada and Yada help by carrying heavy boulders to reinforce the walls. Hiding the shelter entrance using dry leaves and branches becomes the crew's task. Seeing the finished result, our boy feels super proud of the crew. In celebration, his hug seals the completion of the secret hideout. A system map shows exactly where the shelter sits between the gate and ruins. Doing great with praise, our guy thanks all the monsters for their project effort. Happy, Ada asks if they can move into their new home already. Looking inside, the kid explains thick stone walls protect against any attack. A secret route at the back of the cave serves as an emergency exit. The indoor environment turns out cool, cozy, and very safe. Reclining on the dirt, all wolf pups and dragons relax comfortably together. Petting the pup, our guy guarantees everyone will stay protected inside. Wishing a good night's rest, the kid smiles at his entire big family. At peace, the entire pack falls fast asleep inside the underground shelter. Watching his friends sleep, our boy hopes Dungeon Evolution builds a safe home. Recalling his past life, he remembers how rank symbolized cruel competition. Endless demands for grades and promotions tormented his routine in human society. Realizing that leveling up in this new world holds a different meaning, he smiles. Getting stronger by defeating enemies grants our guy real power. That strength serves solely to protect those he loves. In the kid's mind, getting up slowly, the young man decides to inspect the shelter's outer area. Following his boss's movement, the dragon winks with attention, checking the escape route. The kid confirms the secret path is safe. Dipping his feet in a stream, he enjoys the forest's cool water. Looking back, our boy notices that Ada and Yada followed him to the stream. Peaceful, both beasts stick their paws in the water beside their beloved owner. Looking at the dragon, our guy notices Ata seems restless with a question. Thoughtful, the flying beast maintains a serious expression toward the kid. Curious, Ata asks why the boss puts so much effort into protecting everyone in the dungeon. The dragon asks directly who the kid really is in truth. Wanting to know more, he asks if our guy has a human family in the outside world. The beast wonders if the kid's relatives look anything like him. Embarrassed, the young man thinks a bit before answering his friend's question. He explains his parents were normal humans, even if he looks like a monster today. Recalling the past, the kid remembers his oldest memory from his previous life. The memory shows a child alone in the cold, feeling extreme hunger. A welcoming hand appears to hold that abandoned child's fingers. The little boy watches the loving adults who decided to care for him, asking nothing in return. Smiling, his adoptive parents assured him he would always be safe by their side. Happy little Hitea called them both dad and mom with deep affection. Even knowing nothing about the boy's origin, his parents welcomed him with open arms. However, a massive tragedy struck that loving family years later. Buried under disaster rubble, his adoptive parents never returned home again. Looking at the monsters, the kid admits they did not physically look like a family. Memories of home show the genuine affection that bound that small family together. Our guy confesses he always wanted to live and protect others in that same warm way. Petting the pup, our boy tells the dragons that everything is okay and peaceful now. Listening to their protector's moving story, Ata and Yata get deeply touched. Thinking it over, the dragon admits he does not get the boss's immense level or powers. It becomes clear to him the noble reason why the kid chooses to stay in the dungeon. Far away in the great capital, the imposing central structure stands out on the horizon. Located in the inner district, the East Wing Underground Research Center moves the area. Analyzing a petition sent by Eastern Capital Lord Pedro, a researcher evaluates details. The document requests the full investigation and total destruction of Sovan Mausoleum. Relaxed on the sofa, the scientist finds it interesting to read the letter from the noble. Showing surprise at the info about the mysterious dungeon, he flashes a smile. Deepening the research into this unusual structure becomes a top priority for him. Illuminating the ancient fortress ruins, the sun shines back on Sylvan Mausoleum, shaking the ground violently. A sudden tremor puts the kid and animals on high alert. Reporting the arrival of new challengers, the system screen flashes red. Entering the dungeon, a party of 6 hunters thinks the place is easy to clear. Feeling the tremors in the shelter, the dragons fear a new faction's arrival. Smiling calmly, our guy says he will personally contain the new invaders. Moving at high speed, he vows to protect the forest and all resident friends. Appearing in midair after leaping from trees, our boy catches 6 hunters by surprise. Mocking the situation, the mercenaries activate special skills on their weapons. The squad's weapons thrust forward together. Sensing danger, the kid realizes all 6 hunters have active skills. Keeping calm, the young man decides to act step by step against the invaders. Promising to win the fight, our guy guarantees his family safety. The system confirms activation of the Earthfisher Impact Ruin skill. Gathering energy, the kid readies the devastating strike copied from Albara. Memories of that fight show exactly how the leader used the technique. Using the former enemy's power, the kid defends the dungeon interior. The strike releases an expanding shockwave proportional to its charge. Terrified, the hunters recognize the Dragon Conqueror's supreme move. Ordering a retreat, the party leader tries to pull everyone out of the impact zone. A colossal blue shockwave erupts, destroying the ground around invaders. Feeling lethal danger, the mercenaries decide to flee the dungeon. Using the celestial swim skill, one invader retreats quickly through the air. Looking into the dust, our boy tells the invaders to go back to the outside world. Real shots become a threat if the squad tries to approach again. In sheer terror, the men trigger the command to open the exit gate. Sprinting away, the crew complains about returning empty-handed without reward. Smirking slyly, one mercenary releases a fish-shaped robot into the dungeon, recording the whole area. The small camera begins filming the place. Using Vision +10, our guy spots the flying device amidst the trees. Looking closely at the object, he sees it is not a living creature but a camera. Frowning, the young man gets that the invaders' goal was to spy on the interior. The heavy dungeon doors shut again, locking off external access. Thoughtful, our guy tries to figure out those hunters' true intention. Multiple alerts flash in front of the kid. The panel confirms invaders fled, granting the burst and double attack skills. Right after the system grants double thrust and aerial shot techniques. Final notifications confirm the acquisition of the special celestial swim skill. Happy, the kid sees he absorbs 6 new skills at once from the fleeing hunters. Thus, he understands his power keeps growing step by step with every cleared challenge. Flying over quickly, Ada and Yada land beside the kid, praising the fast victory. Radiant, our guy greets both dragons with a smile on his face. A brilliant idea strikes the young warrior's mind. Excited, he decides to test one of the new techniques acquired in battle. Activating Celestial Swim, our guy starts floating and swimming lightly in the air. Laughing joyfully, he flies alongside the dragons, celebrating his new ability. Losing balance for a second, the young man plunges into the foliage. A direct drop into a bush scatters leaves everywhere. Worried, Ata and Yata fly over fast to see if the boss got hurt in the fall. Hanging upside down on a branch, our guy laughs sheepishly, admitting flight is hard. Gliding smoothly through the air, he describes the nice feeling of swimming through skies. Curious, the kid asks Ada and Yada when they learn to use their abilities. The dragon replies they already knew how to use their powers the moment they were born. Impressed, the young man gets surprised to learn monsters are born with ready techniques. The beast explains there are exceptions, like the wolves in this dungeon born without magic. Thoughtful, our guy asks if there are also human beings born with skills. The dragon reveals that only monsters are born with natural abilities in their bodies. He explains clearly that without magic tools, humans cannot use any techniques. Recalling battles, the kid gets why hunters lost powers when left without weapons. He concludes human magic tools are crafted from enchanted gear. The beast reveals magic tools are made by processing monster bodies with skills. In utter shock, the kid widens his eyes upon understanding the terrible truth. Horror struck, he realizes every weapon he destroyed was made from slain monsters. Trembling in horror, he wonders if he was destroying monsters' essence all along. Kindly, the dragon asks the boss not to be sad for being too soft. The beast explains that to make magic tools, humans hunt monsters for raw material. The dragon notes that using collars serves to transport enslaved monsters to humans. He reveals magic tools are monsters forced to serve eternally even after death. The beast warmly states that breaking these weapons frees monster souls from slavery. With a gentle smile, our guy hopes the dragon is completely right. Multiple heavy tragedies and hidden suffering lurk throughout that world. Flying through the trees, our boy reaffirms he will protect every single companion. Far away in the capital palace, Professor Elaine Churin mocks the bandits' failure. Being super sarcastic, the scientist laughs at the situation and investigates personally. Noble Pedro de Tras complains about mercenary incompetence in front of the professor. Looking greedily, the noble celebrates the luck of hiring a scholar like Turin. Great surprise overcomes him seeing the scientist accepted the Sylvan Mausoleum request. Treated as the underground lab genius, Professor Elaine Turin receives the fish camera. Moving his fingers, the scientist turns on recordings made by the flying device. Several holographic images of the dungeon pop up, leaving the professor satisfied. Left jaw-dropped, Noble Pedro watches the floating screens, admitting he saw nothing like it. The system shows text and video logs, confirming the researcher's inventive talent. Looking at our guy's hologram, Turin notes the preliminary dungeon investigation is done. Thoughtful with his hand on his chin, the scientist says the next step is decided. Wanting to know everything, Noble Pedro asks what the professor's stance will be. Adjusting his gloves, the scientist assumes a cold and calculating stance. Guarantees are given that every inch of that weird dungeon will be checked before burning. Returning to Sylvan Mausoleum, the kid flies excitedly through woods with the pup. Stopping on a branch, our guy enjoys playing with the pup but gets startled by an alert. A red warning flashes on the panel, alerting that new challengers invaded the area. Telling the dragons and pup to run to the woods, the kid prefers not to risk it. Getting tense, our guy wonders who is going to show up to disrupt things. Heavy stone doors open with a thunderous noise inside the dungeon. Empty spaces show the new invader already set foot inside. Hidden in the foliage, the young man tries to see who crossed the gate. Finding no living soul at Sylvan Mausoleum entrance, the kid is utterly confused. Suspecting a trap, the kid gets startled when a voice whispers right by his ear. Jumping back out of fear, our guide tries to figure out where that came from. Looking around for the speaker, the kid sees a water portal open out of nowhere. Upside down in the water, Professor Elaine Turin appears, greeting the kid mockingly. Unbelieving what he sees, the young man wonders how that man appeared among the trees. Landing gracefully after a spin, the scientist comes face to face with the boss. Trying to read his rival, our guy notes, in shock, that system shows no stats for him. Realizing the opponent is completely different from others, our boy raises his guard. Demanding to know who the guy is, the kid asks why he is invading that place. Adjusting purple glasses, Turin sarcastically says he wants to clear the dungeon. Remembering the 6th arc, the young man realizes that treasure drew the invader. Sure of it, our guy gets that the scientist wants to steal the item in the depths. Confirming it with a smile, the professor says he will conquer the whole dungeon. Turning his back, the kid is intrigued by what a complete conquest means. Confused, he wonders what happens to the dungeon after such an event. Coldly, the scientist asks if our guy does not know defeated dungeon's fate. He reveals any dungeon losing its treasure is erased from the world completely. The arc shatters, illustrating the place's inevitable collapse. The professor explains that when the dungeon falls, resident monsters die together. Stating matter-of-factly, Turin says total disintegration is this world's supreme law. Outraged, our guy yells furiously, promising he will never allow that to happen. Unfazed, the scientist smiles and snaps his fingers, summoning 10 fish robots. A fleet of mechanical devices charges toward the young man. Sharp projectiles get fired by machines, forcing our guy to dodge. Noticing the massive amount of weapons, the kid decides to slice shots mid-air. Activating curved blade, he launches energized slashes to slice fish robots. Smiling superiorly, the scientist states he expected the combat from our guy. Wind gusts cut the fish robots in half, splitting machines into pieces. That same second, cut pieces regenerate, multiplying shots in the air. Horror-struck, our boy realizes his slashes have zero effect on the robots. Floating calmly, Turin mocks that our guy's strength is useless against magic. Explaining it, the scientist promises his machines are immune to regular cuts. Flying from above, Ada appears roaring and blasts a freezing ray on the robots. A freezing beam locks up shots from the mechanical fish fleet. Sarcasm aside, our guy thanks the dragon for timely help. Ice skills get triggered by the system, showing Ada save the day. Right after, Yada blasts hot flames, making the enemy back off. Mocking smiles appear on Turin's face as he uses robots to block the fire. Precise laser shots hit directly, knocking down the flying beast. Painful groans echo as the dragon plunges toward the ground. Total fury overcomes Ada upon seeing his brother hurt. Firm steps in midair lead Turin toward both twin dragons. Adjusted glasses reveal to the scientist that control collars vanished. Doubts arise in his mind about how monsters break free from slavery. Sarcastic taunts leave the scientist's mouth, questioning the broken collar. Cautious retreats keep the twins on the defensive. Fast advances help the researcher continue taunting for answers. Flashes of blue light slice through the air right at his face. Super speed allows our guy to send hidden shots straight at Turin. Narrow dodges save the scientist, who praises the move's speed. Firm landings put our boy right in front of Ada and Yada. A deadly glare directed at the scientist serves as a warning to stay away. Quick conclusions about cooldown make Turin decide he got enough data today. Stepping back into a water portal, the scientist says he will be back. Seeing the portal close, the kid and dragons are puzzled by the sudden escape. System interface alerts that no challengers remain inside the dungeon. Trying to grasp it, our guy attempts to activate skill absorption. Right away, a quick screen warning states no skills are available for copying right now. Utterly confused, the kid ponders why he could not steal Turin's techniques. Thinking about it, he sees he grows stronger, but rivals get overpowered. Memories of that guy pass through his mind, showing the scientist was a mystery. Recollections of that fight show the scientist used weird, patternless powers. Reaching a conclusion, the young man gets that researcher is unusual. Thinking of the scientist turning to water, the kid gets suspicious. Clenching his fists hard, the kid promises to tank all hurdles in his path. Far away in the eastern capital lord's mansion, bosses continue meeting. Professor Elaine Turin shows his fish robots and says he changed his plans. Wanting to know everything, Pedro de Tros asks what happened during the mission. Flashing a sinister smile, the scientist says he found a much better target. His main idea now is capturing the twin dragons before destroying the dungeon. Finding it great, Pedro agrees and orders them to bring the dungeon boss too. Talking money, the noble notes a boss at that level brings huge cash black market. Casting a cold look, Professor Alain Turin promises he will get enough collars. Professor Alain Turin warns the noble not to become deadweight during mission. Showing a fake smile, noble Pedro de Tros agrees with the scholar's words. On the mansion wall, the great dragon's severed horns hang mounted as trophy. The noble recalls the hired hunter was responsible for killing the beast. In corners of the fancy room, the dragon head symbolizes past victory. Back at Sylvan Mausoleum, the kid observes the sixth arc beside twin dragons. That treasure box gleams while he recalls the dungeon collapse rule. Holding the magic ring, our guy gets that if stolen, the place collapses. Determined, the young man vows he will never allow the treasure stolen. A holographic map shows exact location of treasure shelter and main gate. Suddenly, the system's red panel flashes, warning about a new invasion. From treetop heights, our guy observes suspicious movement at the entrance. Magic light beams shoot through the gate, hitting inside the clearing. Dodging laser beams, the kid recognizes the invader's attack style. Emerging from a water portal, Professor Alain Turin greets our guy mockingly. Outraged, the young man accuses the scientist of trying to steal treasure. With a mocking smile, Turin replies he just came to catch a test subject. Startled, our guy watches the mechanical fish in researcher's hand transform. The iron machine expands to giant size, covering the clearing sky. That colossal fish drops onto the kid, forming a closed prison structure. Trapped in the iron barrier, our boy is surprised by the opponent's move. Outside, Turin holds tight to a collar of tyranny, trying to spot dragons. Watching the artifact soothe the gap, the kid fears that slavery item. Memories of the collar of tyranny forcing monsters to obey cross his mind. Vowing to himself his friends will never suffer again, our guy focuses. Gathering all his blue aura, the kid delivers a clean hit on the barrier. Using Wind Blade, he shatters the prison and shoots up, flying in the air. Meanwhile, deep in Sylvan Mausoleum Forest, a new danger shows its face. Advancing among trees, a red-armored mercenary heads straight for shelter. The Lancer celebrates because Professor Turin's plans are working great. Confident, Turin distracts the boss. He plans to find treasure unseen. Smiling in shadows, Invader truly wants to raid hideout and steal relic. Heavy footsteps echo close to underground refuge where puppies sleep. Hearing noise inside, a small wolf pup's ears perk up immediately. Turning its face to entrance, the pup gets the hunter is very close. Letting out a low growl, puppy guards others who keep sleeping. Right at cave mouth, the Lancer appears wielding a massive weapon. Trembling in fright, the pup notices arrival of another human hunter. Huddled in corner, the animal is terrified of threat circling family. Grit his teeth, the puppy takes courage to try and save everyone. Memories of the boss guarantee no human could steal the treasure. Steadying paw on ground, the pup decides to face the opponent. Moving out of refuge, the pup barks, furiously facing the Lancer. At main entrance, our guy crushes giant fish with a single punch. Boosting his leap, kid escapes iron trap, leaving researcher incredulous. Mocking situation, Turin says he must strike kid harder. Sending wind slashes from above, our guy hits mechanical fish fleet. Looking coldly, young man promises he will break all collars of tyranny. Laughing at tough talk, Turin counters it is impossible to break artifact. Yelling out, kid says he shattered collars of twin dragons and great dragon. Destroying those rings was necessary because seeing friends trapped was sad. Professor Turin widens eyes, staring at young man in full curiosity. Weighing collar in palm, scientist struggles to process what kid did. Reality hits, showing dungeon boss is a specimen never seen before in world. Eyes glowing greedily, Turin decides most valuable prize is our guy himself. Going all out, kid asks why humans resort to such cruel items. Heavy accusations call collar a cursed tool, enslaving monster souls. Dodging charge, scientist notices claw mark on young man's face. Touching ground, Turin coldly replies he knows well usefulness of object. Wicked smile appears as Professor triggers new machines to catch kid. Desperate wolf howl suddenly cuts silence from deep forest. Hearing call, our guy freezes in terror, recognizing little friend's voice. Sweating cold, kid realizes something terrible happened in shelter. Taunting young man, Turin asks if he will abandon fight to save wolves. Silently, kid makes quick decision to prioritize friends' lives. Turning back, our guy dashes at top speed toward deep woods. Watching escape, Turin smiles calmly, planning perfect way to catch kid. In forest, barking wolf pup tries to block invader's path. Heavy steps crush vegetation as Lancer approaches puppy. Mockingly, mercenary praises helpless little pup's sense of smell. He raises dark spear, promising to use pup as test subject for weapon. System identifies invader as level 61 Lancer Lancero Lopez. Trembling and crying, small pup cowers on ground before spear tip. Appearing last second, our guy blocks spear strike with own arm. Furious, Kid notes another high-level hunter invaded forest. Standing before Pup, our boy tells Mercenary to step away from Wolf. Laughing insanely, Lancero triggers special skill celebrating boss. Telling Pup to run, our boy collides with Mercenary's spear mid-air. Sparks and energy blasts cover area during power clash. Fast exchange of strikes happens while he dodges sharp attacks. Stepping back, our guy sees he cannot unleash heavy skills to save forest. Lancero shows spear mastery, delivering strikes mixing speed and weight. Fixing gaze on weapon tip, Kid finds that shape very familiar. Analyzing blade details, young man feels heavy chest. That dark tip shares exact texture of great dragon's horns. Flying beast scenes cross our guy's mind, confirming suspicion. Chill runs through Kid, remembering humans process monster remains. Understanding magic items come from living parts, young man is horrified. Yelling in shock, our guy asks if spear came from great dragon's horn. Laughing mockingly, Lancero confirms he took down that dragon long ago. Displaying weapon, Mercenary explains gear grows stronger personally monster. Mocking Kid's pain, villain thanks him for freeing beast in past. Overcome with giant rage, our guy vows not to let guy leave unharmed. Laughing nonstop, Lancero focuses purple aura on spear and greed. Mercenary confesses huge satisfaction in ending magical creatures. Sprinting at crazy speed, Kid lands powerful punch right on Lancer's face. Strike is so violent enemy's face sinks from energized fist impact. Floating in air, young man gathers all blue aura for final attack. Great Dragon's request to save companions from slavery returns to mind. Frowning with resolve, our boy vows to break that dark spear for his friend. Focused on the mission, the Kid vows he will shatter the mercenary's dark spear. Dropping from above, our guy lands a clean strike right on the weapon's tip. Feeling severe pain, Lancero is shocked by the Kid's raw strength without skills. Huge cracks spread across the dragonhorn blade in the hunter's hand. That magic spear shatters completely in mid-air from the attack's impact. Down on his knees, Lancero sweats cold, unable to believe he lost in an E-rank dungeon. Standing before his rival, the Kid keeps his blue aura blazing full force. Losing his mind, the mercenary runs frantically, trying to find an exit. Spotting the runaway's path, our guy dashes after him to save the pups. Both cross the dense woods, sprinting at full speed. Worried, the Kid realizes the route leads right to the monster's hideout. Flashing a wicked smile, Lancero spots the entrance to the underground lair. Deep inside the cave, the little pup trembles in terror upon seeing the hunter at the door. Using the broken shaft, the mercenary threatens to wipe out every beast in that place. Terrified, the Kid yells, telling the pup to get out of there. Cornered, the little animal trembles, having no time to run from the strike. Out of nowhere, Professor Elaine Turin pops from a water portal, stepping before the villain. Everyone in the clearing is left jaw-dropped by the scientist's appearance. Totally clueless, the Kid tries to figure out why Turin stepped in front. Furious, Lancero charges at the researcher, telling him to get out of the way. Turin's fish machines intercept the mercenary's spear with great ease. Floating in the air, the scientist glares at the hunter with total disdain. Clueless, our guy wonders why the invader defended the wolf pup. Lancero loses his patience and demands explanations from the professor for interfering. Turin coldly replies that slaying weak monsters does not fix the hunter's lack of talent. The scientist's research relies on real targets, and hunting helpless beings is useless. Mocking his rival's face, he calls Lancero deadweight and tells him to go home. Overcome with rage, the Lancer rejects the insult and insists he is not inferior to the boss. Turin calmly regrets that a proud guy would never accept advice. The researcher drops the truth that he used the mercenary merely as a test subject. Shifting focus to our guy, the scientist cancels destruction and decides to capture him whole. Blinded by rage, Lancero demands the professor swallow every word he said. Focusing dark energy into the spear, the hunter vows to end the scientist. The mercenary's desperate charge goes all out straight toward Turin. Seeing chaos among the invaders themselves, the Kid gets bewildered in the forest. Turin flashes a smile and invites our guy to team up against Lancero's attack. Tension hits max level between the two humans right in front of the dungeon boss. Our guy gets completely shocked by this sudden plot twist in the fight. Keeping calm, the scientist announces he canceled plans to exterminate monsters today. Trying to reason, the Kid struggles to figure out the researcher's true motives. Lancero glares at his rival with pure hatred while Turin keeps his unbothered attitude. Watching the fight, our boy realizes the hunter squad is officially split apart. Feeling his ego hurt, Lancero refuses to take orders from a mere dungeon boss. Aiming again at our guy, the mercenary points his dark weapon right at the Kid. Charging in, the guy yells he will prove his strength by taking down the area boss. Turin's fish machines fly through the air in a blink to cut off the attack path. floating robots intercept Lansuro's spear, saving our boy from getting skewered. Controlling the water portal, Turin totally dominates the battle zone effortlessly. Surprised by the move, the young man realizes the scientist just saved his skin. Letting out a psycho laugh, Lansuro loads his weapon with a heavy charge of dark aura. The mercenary yells that he will wipe everyone out without a shred of mercy. Energy gathered in the spear activates Devour Multiplier right on time. Recognizing that signature, our guy freezes seeing Great Dragon energy gathered there. Flashbacks of the flying beast invade the young man's mind, bringing a heavy chest. Mocking the situation, the villain brags the weapon gets stronger per swallowed life. Charging all out, the guy promises to make his spear drink both their blood. Taking a crazy leap into the air, the kid decides he will stop this madness right now. Frowning hard, our guy warns he will not let anyone disrespect his friend's memory. Colliding midair, our guy slams head-on into the hunter's energized spear. A violent impact scatters blue and purple sparks all across the clearing. Focusing all his aura, our boy crushes the hornblade with a direct strike. Groaning in pain, Lansuro feels the devastating impact break his weapon in half. That magical spear shatters into 1,000 pieces, falling useless on the dirt. Leaping through the air, the young man retreats gracefully after destroying that weapon. Keeping calm, he watches the outcome of combat as dust settles on the area. Holding a glowing horn fragment in hand, our guy pays tribute to the Great Dragon. From above, the scientist watches the scene, showing huge interest in our guy. Kneeling on the ground, Lansuro breathes with difficulty, seeing his trump card ruined. Overcome with absolute terror, the mercenary rejects defeat by a mere E-rank monster. Grit his teeth, he refuses defeat and pulls a red item from his pocket. Multiple collars of tyranny get thrown into the air, flying straight toward our boy. The red enslavement rings multiply and surround our guy on all sides. Screaming insanely, the hunter demands the boss kneel and obey commands. Threats of humiliation arise to turn the kid into sellable monster materials. With glowing blue eyes, the young man stays calm without showing any fear. Using curved blade, our guy fires precise wind slashes around his body. Those slashes slice every control ring, destroying the items midair. All collars of tyranny turn into red dust and fall onto the dirt. Sweating cold, Lansuro collapses on the ground, unable to believe the collars broke. Coming down with a crushing blow, our boy strikes the hunter hard in the chest. An explosion of energy blasts the defeated mercenary straight into the trees. Knocked out, Lansuro collapses on the ground and exits the fight for good. Hidden in shadows, Turin watches the end of the fight, completely mesmerized. Adjusting his glasses, the professor sees the kid truly can break the collars. Impressed by the unprecedented feat, the scientist praises our guy's absurd power. His words confirm the ability to destroy control artifacts is unique in the world. Turning to the scientist, our guy demands to know his true objective there. The young man recalls Turin protected a pup but also carries a control collar. The question hangs whether the professor's plan was complete dungeon conquest. Smirking, Turin replies that conquering the area is just hired work. The scientist explains Pedro Tatras paid him to research the dungeon and catch the boss. With a serious look, the researcher reveals his personal focus goes far beyond that. Bringing a hand to his neck, Turin states his main research topic is very personal. Unbuttoning his lab coat, the professor pulls his shirt collar down. Exposed skin reveals a collar of tyranny embedded in the scientist's own neck. Utterly perplexed, our boy stands in disbelief at what he is seeing. The control collar glowing on researcher's skin confirms he is trapped too. Processing the scene, the young man wonders how anyone could accept that cursed item. Displaying the tyranny artifact on his throat, Turin flashes a dark smile. Overcome with concern, the kid asks why a human would suffer under the collar of tyranny. Professor Alain Turin admits his father was human while his mother was a monster. Right as there's strange, it took the contract just to clear the dungeon and take the boss alive. Changing topics, the scientist confesses his dream is finding a way to remove his collar. Seeing the kid as a test subject who breaks collars, he offers a peace treaty. Smiling, the researcher promises he will get everything ready in the human world. Trying to understand, our guy wants to know what the professor plans to prepare. Turin says he cancels the mission and erases the request from official logs. Vowing to spare the monsters, the scientist promises he will not ruin that E-rank dungeon. Asking only for free access, he wants to stay focused on scientific research. Thinking twice, the researcher sees control collars do not work on this floor's boss. Knowing the kid shatters collars and hates control, he burns with hidden anger. Scheme behind his back, Turin wants to gain the kid's trust to use him for a cure. Flying in angrily, Ada warns that trusting human talk is a terrible idea. Reminding our guy of past attacks on Yada, the dragon insists the scientist is dangerous. Trying to smooth things over, Turin apologizes for his mistake in the last fight. Entering the water portal, he suggests they avoid fighting next time they meet. Vanishing in the water, the researcher celebrates finding the path to break collars. Planning his strike, the scientist wants to catch our boy off guard next time. Complaining loudly, Ada wants to know if the young man will really let the guy escape. Hesitating, the kid weighs whether to trust the researcher's promises or fight. He remembers Turin's revelation about being a human-monster hybrid. He ponders the sad reality told by the scientist while staying thoughtful. He asks if there are other hybrid people suffering under collars in the outside world. He confirms with a serious look that other beings like him exist out there. Dark memories show hybrid children being created inside lab tubes. Listening to the cruel truth about hybrids' fate in the human world, he gets shocked. He reflects that they are treated merely as test subjects with no rights. He asks the professor to wait a moment before leaving. He takes an impressive action, bringing his hand to his chest. He snaps a piece of his own sharp tail with great determination. They stare at our guy, not understanding the pain from that unusual gesture. He recalls that magic tools preserve the powers of monsters used as material. He concludes that giving part of his body will let the researcher craft a cure. He endures intense pain from snapping his spine, gritting his teeth. He maintains his stance, wanting to help those suffering in the outside world. He offers the material to the professor, handing over the glowing tailpiece. The researcher asks why the dungeon boss is handing over his own tail. He explains all enslaved hybrids need that power to free themselves. The scientist notes that pain had nothing to do with our guy. He struggles to grasp the generosity of a monster who gains nothing from it. Flashing a friendly smile, the young man says he simply could not ignore others' pain. A piece of the glowing tail lands right in the researcher's palm. Clenching that fragment, Turin looks at the kid as if about to cry from emotion. Deeply moved, the scientist thanks him from his soul, swearing he never saw such kindness. Super charismatic, our guy flashes a giant smile for saving the day once again. Crossing his arms on a nearby branch, Ada pouts hard, showing he hated the scene. The dragon grumbles that he really dislikes that bespectacled researcher. Laughing, the kid tries to calm the creature while listening to him complain about his soft heart. Stepping on the water portal edge, Turin keeps staring at the kid with massive respect. Thoughtful, the scientist ponders how someone so pure can exist in such a chaotic world. To return the favor, Turin decides to open up and drop a massive secret about dungeons. The info is that Sylvan Mausoleum jumped from F rank directly to E rank unprecedentedly. Past stories show only 7 dungeons had that same evolution, and all vanished later. The explanation continues that just as dungeons have ranks, hunters follow level scales. The system reveals Turin is an officially registered level 89 mage. Scratching his head in confusion, the kid pays attention while Ada checks if that holds up. Data shows F rank locations require at least level 5 for any clear attempt. The basic rule is invaders below that threshold hit the gate and leave empty-handed. Absurd ranks like SSS rank demand level 999 and remain untouched to this day. Surprised, our boy takes in the info that no human ever came close to clearing such a dungeon. The researcher explains that if this dungeon ranks up 7 consecutive times, reaching the max tier of SSS rank, it will become a completely unbeatable fortress. Radiant, our boy gets thrilled upon hearing the phrase unbeatable dungeon for the first time. The professor warns that ranking up draws increasingly strong enemies to the area. That is when the holographic panel shines in gold, shaking the entire cave. The system announces a structural restart to process the changes. A golden flash lights up the area, leaving the kid and Atta impressed. On the dungeon ceiling, a giant golden stone gate appears embedded in the rock. Watching the scene, Turin observes the new gate's appearance with fascination. The scientist widens his eyes upon identifying the true meaning of that passage. He asks our guy if that object is the entrance to the next sector. In shock, our boy watches the door glowing on the ceiling. The imposing golden gate gleams above, emitting a dense spiritual shine. Perplexed, the young man wonders why there is a door set in the ceiling. He tries to grasp the new mechanic unlocked by the dungeon evolution. The system window confirms the unexplored sector gate is locked. Everyone watches the golden passage glowing atop the underground temple. The researcher states with certainty that a new treasure hides behind that door. Surprised, our guy and Ada react upon hearing the word treasure again. Turin explains high-ranked dungeons have massive clear difficulty. He reveals the biggest barrier to ruining these fortresses is massive treasure count. Listening carefully, our guy gets the real role of treasures in the dungeon. The scientist explains a dungeon is only destroyed when all its treasures get stolen. Overjoyed, the kid concludes the more treasures he has, the lower the risk of collapse. A notification flashes before the young man, revealing the new requirements. The notification requires the dungeon to reach a rank to unlock the ceiling door. Total surprise hits our guy as he sees he needs to climb 4 whole ranks to open the way, showing reality. A chart illustrates the required path from E rank up to A rank. The system triggers the tally of defeated challengers needed for evolution. Turin adjusts his glasses, calculating how many failed invaders are needed for A rank. Recalling history, he remembers their rank dungeon logs required nearly 10,000 defeats. With a smile, the scientist estimates 10,000 defeated invaders will be needed. Losing it, our guy shouts upon hearing the absurd number of 10,000 people. Complicating things, Ada notes that defeating 10,000 hunters will take years of battle. Agreeing, Torrent says, reaching a rank is an incredibly long and dangerous journey. Thinking aloud, SSS rank is depicted as an impossible dream against human power. Focused, the kid reflects on the cruel injustice monsters endure compared to hunters. Picking up his pace, our guy thinks of the few dozen invaders he defeated so far. Recalling the past, he remembers tough fights against bandits and Lansoro's troop. Accepting the challenge despite the crazy 10,000 count, the kid renews his faith to fight. Remembering past losses, the kid states he will not let anyone else die in the dungeon. The image of his adoptive parents crosses his memory, strengthening his drive to protect. Surrounded by puppies and dragons, the young man smiles seeing everyone alive and safe. Determined, our guy realizes there are still ways to fight without resorting to despair. Standing side by side with Ada, the young man keeps his focus locked on their future. In the researcher's mind echoes the warning not to fall into hatred and keep moving on. Facing the kid, Professor Turin keeps a secret detail about the rules to himself. The veteran remembers there is a hidden shortcut in a rank evolution conditions. Liking the idea, the scientist concludes that even if tough, this is the best route for our boy. Fish machines sprout around Turin, ready to execute the first phase of the plan. Through the robots, the professor grabs the passed-out body of mercenary Lancero Lopez. The gear pulls the beaten hunter straight inside the water portal. Peacefully, Turin notes he will cancel the clear request, honoring the deal with our guy. Super happy, the kid thanks the researcher for saving the dungeon. After 7 days in the eastern capital, a hand slams on the table in a fit of rage. Furious, Lancero curses the noble for becoming a joke after losing to an E rank. Trying to calm his ally, eastern capital Lord Pedro de Tros asks the mercenary to hold back. Beside himself, Lancero demands heavy compensation to clear his reputation. The mercenary threatens to expose the noble's resource embezzlement from dragon conquerors. Keeping his composure, Pedro pretends to accept the demand and pours 2 glasses of wine. Serving the drink, the noble asks to hear what the mercenary's desires are. Showing a fake smile, Pedro hands over the glass to celebrate the hunter's restored honor. Thinking he won the debate, Lancero accepts the glass with a smug look. Clinking glasses, both seal the deal inside the capital lord's office. Gulping wine, Lancero plans to spend the extra pay on better gear. The mercenary vows to return to Sylvan Mausoleum to ruin that dungeon for good. Finishing his drink, the guy shows all his desire for revenge. Suddenly, the glass cup slips from his hand and shatters completely on the floor. Suffering on the floor, Lancero grabs his neck as his breath simply vanishes. Collapsing to his knees, the mercenary realizes he fell into his employer's trap. Looking coldly, Pedro assures that this way his rival will never face trouble again. Spitting blood, the schemer curses the noble upon realizing the trap. Gone for good, mercenary Lancero Lopez lies dead on the room's carpet. Wiping his mouth, Pedro complains that the new toxin ruined the office floor. He turns his head back, noticing a different energy appearing in the room. Crossing a water portal, Professor Alain Turn pops up right in the ruler's room. Walking calmly, the scientist calls the noble to have a serious talk.